almost unbearable. Coming up next on Education Today, we'll hear from children and an expert on how to cope with the back-to-school blues.
Long Island Education Today with News 12's education editor, Roma Torre.
Do you remember your first day of school? Well, I remember it was pretty traumatic for me. For many new kindergartners, the experience marks the first time away from home, and it can be devastating if it's handled in the wrong way. And for a lot of young kids, the anxieties don't stop there. First, second, third graders, even after 3 months of vacation, can find that first day back a dreaded moment. So to help overcome those fears, we've brought an expert on the subject in to talk about it, and some children who've survived it all. First, let's meet Dr. Phyllis Povell. She is director of the Early Childhood Program at CW Post campus of Long Island University. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning.
Now, I was reliving, my traumatic first day going to kindergarten, but you were saying these days that's not true of a large proportion of children anymore.
Right, that's true. Most of the children, according to kindergarten teachers whom I've spoken to, and I'm in kindergarten classes all the time, say that it's few and far between the child who really is afraid during the first day and will cry. But most of the time, the children are very anxious to get into the class.
I'm just thinking about my experience. I dreaded that moment, and it finally came, and I begged the woman who was taking care of me to sit in the classroom with me, and I kept my eyes on her all the time, and at some point, I was distracted about an hour into the class, and she left, she slipped out, and I was destroyed. I went into a tantrum.
I can absolutely understand that. Parents really need to build a sense of trust in their children. They need to prepare the child to go to kindergarten. They need, first of all, hopefully the child will ask his or her own questions. If the child doesn't, then the parent needs to broach the subject with the child and begin to talk about areas that they believe the child might not know about, might be afraid of. The same as if they were preparing them for a birthday party. They would talk about the present, they would talk about where we're going, how we're doing it. The same kind of thing is true for school. Lots of children are afraid of a building they've never been to. Will it have a bathroom? What will the teacher be like? Will I make friends? Will I be able to go on playground equipment that may be too big for me? These are the kinds of things that the parent should initially try to get out of the child, and if not, then he or she should begin to talk to the child about some of the things that might be expected they might find in the classroom.
You had suggested before that it might be a good idea for a parent to bring the child physically to the school. You recommend that?
Yes, I do. I think that's a good idea. If the child is going to walk, the parent should go with the child and get him or her familiar with the route that is going to be taken for going to school.
Beforehand in the summer.
Beforehand during the summer. If the child is going to go on a bus and has never been on a bus, even a city bus might be a beginning for the parent to take the child on a city bus, perhaps. There are lots of songs that parents might know, The Wheels on the Bus, and we all remember them from camp and so on, that they could sing with the child to help the child understand that there's a bus driver and the bus is big and they're pretty little at the time. But I suggest that they do go to the school, that they get there somehow. Some schools are open, and some will even allow the child to come in with the parent and look into the classroom. If not, even peeking in the window might help. This is the room that you're going to be in. This is the playground. This is the equipment that you're going to see. Many schools have started a trend where the children come in May or June, and they've already been to the classroom. Others that I know, some teachers even write to the children during the summer saying, I'm looking forward to seeing you, and it would be real nice to have you here.
That's a great idea, I would think. Parents, you were saying, sometimes can transfer their anxieties to the children. I mentioned in the introduction, if handled the wrong way, this whole thing can be a very dreaded experience. What do parents do wrong?
Well, some of them recall experiences such as you did that were no good, that someone left them, for instance. And what the parents need to do is to realize that they need to do something for the child that will make that better. That if you promise a child something, you're going to be there. If you say, I'm going to be standing outside the classroom, you need to be there. You cannot leave in the middle. Do not promise a child anything that you can't keep. The sense of trust that needs to be built is something that starts really very early.
Yeah. Well, nursery school, you know, we may be using the wrong terms when we say kindergarten the first time in school. A lot more children are going to nursery school. And I gather they get all of that, you know, the fears and the anxieties over with during those earlier years. That must help then when they reach 5 or 6 years of age and they start going into regular school?
Sometimes. I just spoke to a child recently who said that kindergarten was very different from nursery school. The building was bigger, the teacher was different. He was told that different kinds of learning were going to take place in kindergarten than in nursery school. I think that the same preparation for nursery school and kindergarten needs to take place before.
So it is like starting all over
Yes,
again.
I think so.
You had suggested reading some books as a preparation during the summertime with the children. What are your recommendations?
I think reading books serves two purposes. One is to take the child to the library.
We've got this book here.
Yes. This book here is called Best Friends. It's by Miriam Cohen. And one of the children's fears is that they will not have friends. This is a book that deals with making friends, and in a wonderful, fun way with beautiful pictures.
You say Miriam Cohen is pretty good.
Yes, Miriam Cohen has lots of different books. This one, Jim Meets the Thing, is about fears that normal children have. And this particular book shows how each child has fears and how he or she overcomes them.
And one other?
The Berenstain Bears Go to School is a fun book, and it's one about riding the school bus, which, as I mentioned before, might be a new experience for a child.
Right, that's good. And one other?
Yes. When You Go to Kindergarten is a book of wonderful photographs, and it talks about different kinds of schools. It talks about the bathrooms, and sometimes children are afraid of the flushing, different sounds of flushing. It talks about the library, the nurse. It's a really good book and has wonderful photographs for children.
Now, you know, most children, I imagine, have some butterflies in the stomach thinking about going to school for the first time. When is it normal versus abnormal behavior? How do you know? I mean, if the tantrum, I pulled a tantrum, you know, even first day of second grade even.
Right.
What, is that normal?
Even tantrums are fairly normal, yes. When the child begins to say he or she is sick, beginning to throw up, constantly having headaches, then you begin to realize that there's something abnormal happening there. But the tantrum, the one tantrum, that's normal. The I don't want to go to school, that's normal. It's when it becomes excessive and every single day.
And even going through up until how old? 3rd, 4th, 5th grade?
Oh, yeah, even in the grades it happens, surely. I mean, I've seen it happen in high school. And probably in college, too.
Right, so there's nothing really to worry about.
It's nothing. It's a new experience that we need to talk to everyone about, dealing with any new experience. I experience butterflies every time I teach a new course, every time I teach a new class, not even a new course.
Appearing on television.
Of course.
Okay. All right, Dr. Phyllis Pavel, we will be right back. We're going to be joined by some children who've survived the whole thing, and we'll allay all your fears. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Hey, this is Bob Hope. Cancer is a problem with many parts. To understand and to stop it require expert knowledge from virtually every field in science. The National Foundation for Cancer Research has organized an international network of scientists. It helps them turn their ideas into discoveries and combine those discoveries into a complete picture. Together, they believe they can solve the problem of cancer. To learn more, call 1-800-227-8713.
Knowledge, experience, excellence. 3 attributes your attorney should have. For over 10 years, the firm of Binder & Binder has helped thousands fight for and win Social Security disability benefits. If you're having difficulty obtaining disability benefits, call Binder & Binder today.
I'm Charles Binder. Find out how our experience can help you. Call now for a free consultation.
The law firm of Binder & Binder. Call our offices in Hauppauge or Mineola now for a free consultation.
On June 4th, the United Way of Long Island sponsored the Byron T. Miller Memorial Tennis Tournament to help benefit a youth serving agency.
My first thought when Byron T. Miller passed away was United Way. What a way to reach all of these agencies and do something really good for our community and involve so many people.
The United Way, continuing Long Island's tradition of caring with your help.
Well, we're back, and we are joined by 3, what would you call them, preschool, nursery, kindergarten veterans, because they've survived that whole experience. We've got Patrick Fracassa. He's a 10th grader, 10 years old, 5th grader. Kelly Manzer, she's 8 years old, and she's in 3rd grade. And we've got Alicia Manzer, Kelly's sister, who is 9 years old, in 4th grade.
Yeah.
Thanks, all of you, for coming out here. I just want to ask, do any of you remember your very, very first day going to school, whether it was nursery or kindergarten?
No.
You don't? How about you, Patrick? Do you?
I do.
What was that like?
It was a little scary.
Do you remember your feelings walking into school for the first time?
Yeah. I thought it wasn't going to be very fun on the first day, but then I met more friends, and then we started having fun together.
That's good. Do you remember if your parents said anything to you before you went into school?
They said that I would like it, but I didn't really believe them.
Or did the idea that you were going to be away from home for the first time bother you at all? Yeah. How soon, though, before you were able to feel comfortable in school?
At a week.
A week? That's pretty good. How about you, Kelly?
Well, I had fun in school the first day because one of my friends came up to me and said, "Hi, my name is April. Do you want to play with me?" And I felt welcomed and stuff.
That's nice. Then would you recommend that other new children do that to other kids in the class? Walk up to them and ask them to play with them?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you would do that now, do you think? Well, that's good. How about you, Alicia? You don't remember?
Kinda. When I was in whatever grade I was in, she's still my best friend now. Her name is Andrea, and we've been friends, but not best friends. And on the first day, she would come up to me and go, "We want to play," because nobody would play with me, and I've been asking them, "So you're the last person." And she was sad and everything, and I said, "Sure, I'll play with you," because she was so upset because nobody else would play with her.
Well, that's nice. So you helped her out a little bit. Do you all remember feeling very uncomfortable or very strange in school? You do?
Yeah.
Did your teachers help you out at all?
Yeah.
Yes.
What did they do?
Well, they taught us not to be afraid of school. They taught us different things on how to make friends so that you wouldn't be afraid.
Yeah. How about you, Kelly? What did your teacher say?
She said, "Why don't you go over and talk to them, and maybe they'll play with you, and they'll become your friends, and don't be afraid to talk to them."
That's good. Are
Alicia,
you? Yeah.
I'm sorry. Alicia, you told me before that you knew that your teacher was going to be a good teacher.
Yeah.
Had you spoken to other children about it before?
Yeah, I had a couple of friends that were going into first grade, and they told me that one teacher was mean, she would yell, and the other teacher would be nice. And I knew I would get the nicer teacher.
Do you think it's a good idea for children to talk to people on their block or to their older brothers and sisters about going to school before they go?
Yeah, it would be fun.
Yeah, that's good. It helped. Do any of you remember anyone in your classes who had a very bad time in school? You two are smiling. What was that story?
my friend Nora, she didn't know anybody, and I was the only friend she knew, and she wanted to meet new friends, and I helped her find new friends, and now me and April and Nora are all friends.
So you helped her out when she was feeling very lonely. Right. So how is she doing now?
She's fine.
She is. How about you, Alicia? You shook your head too.
There's this boy, and he didn't like our teacher. So, because he didn't have any friends, he didn't know anybody, but he didn't want to be with the teacher because his teacher he was doing bad things, so he blamed it on the teacher. And then he was talking to the principal, and then they because he was being so bad, he sent him to another class with a strict teacher. And he didn't like that. He wanted to go back to the other teacher.
So what happened then?
He went home that day, and he was complaining to his mother, like, "Oh my God, I don't like this. I just don't like my teacher because she's so strict to me."
So how's he doing now?
He's doing good. He's still in my class.
Yeah. Do you think sometimes when you really feel it's going to be a terrible experience, you discover if you just wait a little bit and take it easy that things aren't as bad as you expected them to be?
Like on the first day.
Yeah. Now, you're all planning to go back to school. What grade are you going into, Patrick?
Fifth.
Fifth. Wow. That's pretty big. And we've got fifth, fourth, and third grade here. Are you nervous about it?
A little.
Yeah. But after, you're really an old pro at this first days of school. It still bothers you a little bit. Yeah. What kinds of things help you get over it, do you think? What about going shopping for new clothes?
Yeah, I like that. I like the mall the best, though.
That's fun to do. Now, Dr. Pavel was talking to the three of you about advice.
Yes. I was asking Patrick if you would give some advice to parents. What would it be?
To tell them how they would like school so much. To tell them that once they go into school, they would meet new friends.
Parents should tell this to their children.
Right.
Yeah.
Kelly, you had some advice for parents too.
For the parents to tell you what you're going to learn, like math, spelling, religion, social studies, and science.
And Alicia, you had advice for teachers.
Yeah. That if you don't have any like friends, that you would go up to the teacher and you would say, I don't feel that comfortable in this classroom because I don't know anybody. And then she would probably say that we should all tell each other, like, introduce your name so everybody can know, like, hi, my name's Alicia, and then somebody else says, hi, my name is so-and-so.
For any children listening right now, do you have any advice for them, for the children? How about when you're all talking about experiences with lonely children who had no friends? Would it be...
Yeah, I have an advice. Don't be afraid to go to school. You're going to meet friends. You'll meet friends.
And you'll have nice teachers.
Okay, and was there a better way, a good or bad way to make friends? Should you just introduce yourself and say you'd like to be a friend? Very good. Well, I wish you all good luck as you embark on your continuing education. And thanks for coming out. All right, we will be right back in just a minute. We're talking about first days of school. Don't go away.
I wonder if I can get a car loan.
Oh, I wonder if they'll give me a vacation loan.
Join the Apple Bank family and you'll never have to wonder if you can meet your financial needs. You'll get a personal family banker, free, no bounce checking, and more. Join the Apple Bank family and feel good about banking again. Come in or call Apple Bank for Savings. We're good for you.
I'm a Long Islander, and I'm proud of it. long and the short of it is Island Pride.
I'm a Long Islander, and I'm proud of it.
The long and the short of it is Island Pride.
Efficient. Acting or producing effectively with a minimum of waste, expense, or unnecessary effort. Insulate. To prevent the passage of heat or cold into or out of an area by interposition of an appropriate insulator. These insulating tips have been brought to you by Stamen Building Materials, striving to keep your home comfortable this and every season.
Well, we're back with Dr. Phyllis Povell, who is Director of Early Childhood Program at CW Post campus of Long Island University. That's a mouthful.
It certainly is.
Let's focus now more on the parents and what they do wrong sometimes. Or maybe you might not consider this wrong, but you know, we've heard so many stories about parents who push their kids academically to the point of the children are losing out on, you know, the more social experiences. What do you have to say about that? Because, you know, we've seen some very funny situations come out of all this.
You've hit my pet peeve. You've hit the pet peeve of the National Association for the Education of Young Children, and they work with children birth to 8 years old. And what they're feeling is that the child is being rushed. David Elkind calls it the hurried child. I call it the make them ready approach, where we're constantly hammering children with academics. We need to focus on the whole child. I have a mnemonic aid that I use. I use the term Pisces, and that stands for the physical, intellectual, sensual, creative, emotional, social, and spiritual needs and interests of the child. That's the whole child. We cannot deal with just the academic. The schools should not be dealing with just the academic, and certainly the parents should not be pushing them for just the academic.
And yet, when you think about it, I mean, if you do want your children to excel academically, I mean, we talk about the sponge at that age. The brain is like a sponge when they're young. What is wrong with forcing or actually encouraging the children to learn like Spanish, different language, for example, at that age? Wouldn't they learn it a little bit easier?
There's nothing wrong with having them do it, to encourage them, to make it fun, to provide an environment that encourages children to read, to write. When they go to the supermarket, for instance, and they read the labels on the cereal boxes, on the jam, whatever they have, that parents should do it that way, as opposed to sitting down with flashcards or dittos or the books that they find in the supermarket where they have to put an X here and a Y there. To do it in a fun way, to read to their children every single day is really important. That's academics, but it's also bringing together the parent and the child, and therefore we have the physical comfort that the child gets, we have the intellectual that we talked about, the sensual, just the touching of the child, the emotional is dealt with there, the social between parent and child.
Now, we all know the pressure to excel in school and the pressure to do well in terms of getting the better grades, to go to the better prep schools or the better colleges. What happens now to these children who are highly prepared for school and they mix in then with children who are at various levels in kindergarten? I'm sure we're seeing some children can read novels at the age of 6 years old, others can't read at all. How do they blend in?
Research has shown that it all evens out by the third grade. That those children who come in reading and those children who come in not reading, by third grade they are all reading approximately at the same level. We also need to individualize. We need to take the child from where he or she is and work from there. We need to take normal development and begin where the child is at every level.
What about daycare? How good do you think that is as a preparation for children?
I think that child care is a really good thing for children and certainly for parents. Today it's almost a must. Most parents are working. We have the single family homes. We have the feminization of poverty today. And people find that they must send their children into childcare. We need to, of course, upgrade the profession by giving more money so that we keep the same caregivers there. If they use developmentally appropriate practices, I think that there's no harm to the child, and research shows the same thing. Research has shown, as a matter of fact, that they fare better if they do have early childhood experiences.
That's interesting. I want to go back to something you said, that it all evens out in third grade, no matter how much they're prepared at an early age. So you mean to tell me if a child is learning square roots in kindergarten and spelling tremendous words, that he still, by the third grade, whatever age that is not going to know any more than another child who wasn't as well prepared?
They may know more facts, but that doesn't mean that they will read better. If children are taken from the step that they are in kindergarten and they learn to read, they will read as well.
But I gather, too, a lot of it is determined by the quality of their education at that age, maybe even more than the preparation they're getting from their parents.
I don't know about more. I think their entire environment is important. I think that parents should play a major role in a child's education. They certainly do play a major role until the child goes to school. I think that the emphasis now, we are training our teachers to bring the parents into the classroom, to use the child's background and experience. The more the parents are involved in the classroom, the better it is for the child, for the school, for the parent.
We have just 30 seconds, but I have a pet peeve, the role of television in education for children. Are we relying on it too much, do you think?
I think that watching TV is not a bad thing for children when it is monitored by parents who sit there and talk about what they're seeing.
What about that syndrome, parents using the television set as a babysitter?
That, of course, I'm against.
You are against. Instead of using television, then have them sit down in a corner and read a book?
Perhaps.
Okay, that's good advice. Thank you, Dr. Phyllis Pavel at CW Post, Early Childhood Program. We've run out of time. I thank you and all the children, Kelly, Alicia, and Patrick. Hopefully this helps your first day, whether you're a child or a parent, become a trouble-free experience for you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Well, here's a lead paragraph that should give you pause. If married people had to do it over again, 4 out of 5 wouldn't. At least they wouldn't marry the person they married. Now, the story gets a little strange right here. Dr. Leah Wallman, a well-known psychiatrist who has a practice in New York, says he hypnotized 80 people who had been married from 4 to 15 years. And he convinced them that their wedding ceremonies had been declared invalid, that they weren't really married. Then the good doctor asked them if they would remarry their spouses. His results? Of the 80, 64 said no. 9 said yes, and 7 didn't answer. I presume they passed out, either from fear or joy. Dr. Woolman believes his findings, and I quote, reflect serious problems with the state of marriage. I would think that's a safe guess. He says today's couples expect more out of marriage than at any time in history. We are frustrated by many unrealized expectations. Men, he says, are no longer expected to be merely strong, silent providers. Now they're supposed to express feelings and share power. And women are expected to take up the provider role in addition to being homemakers, while the man is expected to express tenderness. And when marital expectations are not met, spouses are disappointed, grow resentful and angry. Dr. Woolman says his findings indicate that most of today's marriages are plagued by unresolved resentment and anger. Look, I didn't say that. He said that. That's 2 minutes. I'm Joe Cook.
talk.